We are reading the end of chapter 23, Luke's Gospel. When Jesus dies, Joseph of Arimathea takes his body down from the cross and puts it in a tomb. So, it was now about noon. This is the 6th hour in Jewish counting. It is 12 o'clock in our understanding, sometime between 11 and 12 it happened. The whole land was covered with darkness until 3 o'clock. Verse 44, chapter 23. This is Stefan Hager reading with you this summer in Switzerland. And I would love you follow me in your own language and you verify if we are reading is true. It is a 1st century record by Luke, who was a journalist and doctor, and he interviewed lots of people who were eyewitnesses to these events, even the events at the cross. That is historic, that Jesus truly died outside Jerusalem. Look here, he called out with a loud voice. The temple curtain was torn in two. Look, and the sun had stopped shining. So there was a darkness, the temple curtain was torn, and Jesus cried out in a loud voice. What did he cry? Let's see what it says here. Father, he said, Father, into your hands I commit my very life. Or other translation says my spirit. After he said this, he took his last breath. 47. The Roman commander saw what had happened. He praised God, Alhamdulillah, and said, Jesus was surely a man who did what was right. Or other translation says, this was truly a righteous man. The people had gathered to watch that sight. When they saw what happened, they beat their chest and then they went away. But all those who knew Jesus stood not very far away, like Jesus' mother, Mary Magdalene and Josephine and John, the dearest disciple of Jesus, they're watching these things. They were true witnesses of his crucifixion and of his death. They included the women who had followed him from Galilee. So they, all the way from Galilee, they followed him over 3 years ministry before Jesus went to the cross. And they knew that it happened. Verse 50, a man named Joseph was a member of the Jewish council. So he was a Pharisee, okay? He was a scholar of that time. He was a good and honest man, it says here, verse 50. He had not agreed with what the leaders had decided and done. He was from Arimathea, a town in Judea. He was waiting for God's kingdom. Look, maybe you are such a person who is now in the opposite camp of Jesus. But you have some righteousness in you. You have some good thing in you. And you have a desire to know God. You are a scholar maybe. You know the scriptures. You know the Bible and the Quran and the Vedas and other scriptures. You study religion. But maybe you haven't realized yet that Jesus really died and that he died for you. So this is the opportunity. Maybe you're waiting for God's kingdom. Maybe you think God's kingdom is political. Maybe it's not. It is the kingdom in you and me. God is love, and when his love comes into us, then we come under his kingship, because he's the king of love. Not a dictator. He's looking for your heart, for a heart relationship. So this man was waiting for God's kingdom, Joseph of Arimathea. And how was he used? He went to Pilate and he asked for Jesus' body. He took it down and he wrapped it in linen cloth. See? Then he put it in a tomb, cut in the rock. Look, no one had ever been buried there. It was preparation day. The Sabbath was about to begin. So they put Jesus into the grave. They really buried him. The women who had come with Jesus, verse 55, from Galilee, followed Joseph. They saw the tomb and how Jesus' body was placed in it. They went home. There they prepared spices and perfumes, but they rested on the Sabbath day in order to keep the law. So these women were Jewish. Jesus was buried. They kept the law. It was Sabbath. Jesus was in the grave, and they waited to finish the burial, the proper burial according to Jewish customs. And that is just before chapter 24, the third day when Jesus raises from the dead. Read with me another day.